We just spent 2 days in the Krieghoff factory and now we're at a shooting ground. Ed is off teaching and I thought I'd grab this gun, the Parcours-X, and give it a full review as well as going and shooting some German clays. Before we start, let's get it fit up because it's a little bit flat. I believe the Parcours-X comes as standard with an adjustable comb, so that's handy. Doesn't come with adjustable length though. That's nobody cares about giants. All right, let's have a look at this Krieghoff adjustable comb system. Let's put that in there for no reason. Off it comes. This is all machined in-house. It's quite basic. Honestly, I'd rather quality basic machining. It doesn't need to be fancy, right? These little adjusters here, and so that when you take the comb off, you can put it back to the same height. If you have a mic, you can obviously just work a thing down on there to gauge the exact height. All right, we've chucked that up 3-4 mil. More. We're gonna risk it. Before I was actually looking into this ramp with those beads sat on top of it, dead flat. Now I can see a slight figure 8. Let's give it another 2 millimeters. Yeah, that feels good. Let's go, find ourselves a German. You own a Parcours.
Yeah.
Have you shot a Parcours-X?
Not before.
Neither have I. This will be fun. Well, it's not a good start, is it? Yeah, it must be. If I had the Super Sport, I would have broken that. Let's move on. It likes those ones. It's a funny hybrid. Let's shoot a few more. It's going to take a bit of learning after using the Super Sport because it feels similar in the hands, but it shoots very differently. So in the end, I took the stock condom off. I don't like the way they feel. As much as they give the right length and as much as they can be tight as hell, there's just something about the way they flex that doesn't feel quite as good as being connected to a hard bit of gun. So far, my initial thoughts are it's just a hybrid between a Parcours and a Super Sport in terms of handling. During the factory tour film, Ed spoke about how there's a Krieghoff for everybody and there's a barrel spec you like and a barrel spec that you don't. With the shot cam on there and the added weight, I felt more at home, honestly. But that's me, right? I'm a big guy and I like big, heavy guns. I mean, I like guns that perhaps rein me in a little. This one is still fast, and yet I still hammered some big targets with it. More shooting required. The hardest thing about shooting this gun is that I know that if this was a Super Sport, I'd hit a few more targets. And because of the way it's spec'd up, certainly from the stock dimensions and the barrel weight, I'm almost having to sort of rein myself in. There is a Krieghoff for everyone, and I can see this is a gun that would be perfect for someone who shoots a bit of game. And honestly, I see people shooting clays very, very well with these. But I think it might actually be a little too light for me. So I've shot 100 rounds through this gun of some serious targets, a few easier ones, a few very tasty ones. As soon as I put the shot cam on, I think I found myself a little bit more, and that just indicates to me that I just prefer a little bit more barrel weight. However, when it came to that super fast stuff, little incomers, little flicky loopers, this is such an unbelievably responsive gun. And we just got in there and shot them blind, and I don't think I could have shot it that well with a heavier gun. That said, with the shot cam on, it's probably sat about where I want it. Let's sit down and look at this nose to tail. Let's start with the barrels because I think the barrels are what make this gun kind of unique, right? The Parcours-X barrels differ from the Parcours barrels because of the thickness of the rib and the overall weight. The rib on this gun is 2 millimeters wider than the Parcours, and it's about 100 grams heavier. That is not insignificant. It is about 100 grams lighter than a Super Sport set of barrels, and you really do feel it. Then we're talking about a 32-inch set of barrels here. Again, barrel weights do vary gun to gun, or can do, certainly. As with all Krieghoff barrels, this is silver soldered on, so it's not going to come off when it gets super hot, and theoretically these barrels should last a lifetime, unless you do something really, really stupid. In the front is the K80, the Krieghoff thin wall choke system, and we'll pull one of those out. It's a proprietary thin wall choke system, which means the barrels don't have to swell at the muzzle like they do on the Super Sport. It certainly gives it a more elegant look, really makes it a bit easier to do with that mid-rib, as opposed to other guns that they kind of have to flare out subtly about 6 or 7 inches back. It just gives a lovely sort of fixed choke feel to the gun, which is cool, right? You want the weight of the barrel to be evenly distributed along its length, or certainly that was always the theory. It's nice. That is a long thread. There's an extremely long thread. There you go. That is a Krieghoff thin wall choke. Skeet, lead, and improved cylinder steel. I probably should have checked what chokes there were before going and shooting. I probably would have wanted a little bit more than that. But hey, it broke the target, it's fine. Right? It's not really an excuse. There's nothing there that I would have wanted much more on. The purpose of these barrels, as already discussed, is to have something that is a medium weight between the Parcours, which can be an extremely lively gun, and the Super Sport that people can find a little bit much. Remembering that all the stock sets are weighted between the guns, they do go up in weight significantly. This gun is £8.9, a Super Sporting. You only have that extra 100 odd grams extra out the front in terms of barrel weight, but that's balanced out at the back. You know, you're looking over £9 for most Super Sports. Again, stock length, dimension, density of the wood and such, all notwithstanding. I don't really perhaps sound super positive out there about this gun, and I think that that may have come across wrong. It's not that I don't like it, but this was as much a voyage of discovery for me, and I genuinely thought that this would be the Krieghoff for me. They are so unique. I've shot Parcours and I've really liked them, but they always just feel a little bit more uncontrolled. And although I feel that they feel elegant when I'm shooting them, when I pick up a Super Sport, certainly Ed's, for example, I feel quite dangerous. I feel good with it. And I remember when I first picked up a Super Sport, I couldn't hit anything with it. I didn't actually like the experience. So it does vary gun to gun. And I thought perhaps this would be a nice medium thing. It is, but it turns out I'm just not a medium guy. On the monoblock here, you have the hinge system, the loop at the front, again, silver soldered on, and the ejectors, all the ejectors being hand fitted to the action. The quality of the bluing is lovely. The hand polishing on the flats of the barrels there are lovely. This gun, the Harmony Scroll, is 16,900, give or take. It's not an insignificant amount of money, and so you do want it to be made to the highest standard, and I think that's fair. When it comes to the action, this divides opinions. The Krieghoff action, some people love it, some people hate it. Somewhat akin to Marmite, although we may just start saying a bit like Krieghoff in it, as opposed to a bit like Marmite, and we'll turn that into a cultural norm. I love them. I think that that space for the engraving is just nice. Most gun makers side plate their guns to get more steel. These guys have enough steel to start with, although they do make side plate models. The action itself is completely bulletproof, and the actual length of the action comes from the fact that this is sort of a true box lock, if you like, with all the cocking pieces and the tumblers and such contained inside the box. Even your mainsprings sit under here. It's a different design to what anyone else uses. It isn't just an unnecessarily long action. This is actually a completely different style of design to, well, pretty much every other mainstream gun. For those who are not familiar with Krieghoff, they have a top locking latch system. Most guns lock through either conical lugs that go into the face of the action or a bite that goes into the underside. This gun closes up over the top of the barrels with this shroud here. These edges are tapered so that over time that will sit forward more and more. Again, the bites that you don't see do the same thing, but it's kind of nice to be able to see, right? Again, it'll divide opinions. Some people just don't like that. I always think it's a nice canvas, and I've seen all sorts of custom work done on these top shrouds, and I think that's really cool. The top lever is quite short, and as you push it back like that, it moves that shroud back, allowing those barrels to go free. The safety catch is quiet. I'm not sure how I feel about that. It is very nice, obviously never going to knock on in a pinch, and I know a lot of the pro shooters get that locked off in sporting clays guns so that there's never a moment when they go to pull the trigger and the gun doesn't go bang. I shoot enough game that it's kind of nice to have it to be able to go safe occasionally. I have to find something else to do that's really annoying. Be yourself. Drop the top lever without a barrel in, just this little piece of metal here, and job done. It's a really lovely design, you know. Having been around that factory, it's just quality engineering. there's not too much gunsmith magic because everything's made to almost perfect tolerances out the gate. And that will turn some people off and turn some people on equally. But I liked it. The selector is under the trigger here, and it is marked T and B, top and bottom. This is fitted with the long trigger tang. They make a short one that gives you extra 10 mil of reach, which honestly would be kind of nice because at this point I'm having to wrap my finger around a bit. It is adjustable back and forth so that you can sort of set it up a little bit, but they also do titanium triggers, short triggers, pretty much whatever you want, right? This comes with Parcours-X woodwork, but it looks very much the same spec as a Parcours. It is flat, no Monte Carlo, nice, thin, simple piece of wood. I think from a traditionalist perspective, this is where this gun comes in. A lot of people, I think, who find a Krieghoff attractive, maybe don't like that large rib that they come with and the large stocks that they come with. If you're looking for something more elegant, this is definitely the right sort of gun. Elegance, but with a little bit of that sort of clay shooting prowess to back it up. The forend is engraved to match the engraving. This is the Harmony spec engraving. This is all machine engraved. One of the things I kind of like about Krieghoff is that they don't charge a great deal for engraving patterns. You can get full coverage for a couple of £1,000, which is realistically, against the value of the gun, not bad. A lot of companies put fairly significant upcharges for engraving by laser. And of course that's fair. Laser engraving machines are very, very expensive, and some of those patterns take exceedingly serious amounts of time. So I get it. I totally get it. But for those of us who like engraving, I mean, I like guns with and without, but it, you know, they could have charged more, and I'm glad that they didn't. I believe this stock is one of their basic pieces of wood. It's not horrific by any standards. I think wood upgrades start at about 500, and I found some of those grade ones very, very attractive. I know it's easy to say £500 is not a great upcharge, but then I also know it's very easy to just continue the domino effect. All right, let's have a grade 2, that's another bit. Let's have custom fitting, that's another bit. Let's have X, Y, and Z, and before you know it, you've racked up a serious bill. And honestly, 16,000 is still already quite a level of money. I guess for something that I would buy if I was buying it new, I can't have a factory stock. So I guess if you're going to the length of having a custom stock made, an extra 500 probably is worthwhile. I'm very unlikely to sell the gun with a custom stock on, unless I find another giant if I was going down that route. The standard stock pattern actually comes with a half decent amount of cast, which is nice. You have a really deep groove there that sucks your hand into what is a relatively small palm swell, but it's made large by the fact that this is a sculpted grip. It is actually really good. You know, they can make them longer and do all sorts of other things if you really wanted, and certainly when you're going through the custom stock process, why not? But I don't dislike it at all. At the back you have a Kickies pad. It's nice, it's beautifully hand finished, and this gun is oil finished. They do oil finish and lacquer finish, both for different markets, but I'm sure if you asked them nicely, they could do you whatever you wanted. As with everything. Guys, we've had soup delivered. I'm gonna eat my German soup, and then I'm gonna go out and shoot this German gun a bit more. Okay, I've eaten a bowl of soup. It was unbelievably good. Time to shoot some clays. I'm feeling way more positive about it. I've removed my disappointment that I wasn't, you know, an automatic world champion with this gun, and let's smash some targets up. Hey bird! Oh, look at this. Oh! This gun does shoot significantly more instinctively than the Super Sport. That is a huge benefit. I just punched into that target, no idea where it was, and it handled that movement perhaps a little bit better. Massive positive is how fast this is. I can shoot that bird off the trap arm, and I probably couldn't do that with that much confidence and precision with the other gun without having perfect hold points. And I'm not that good. And so it's nice to be able to tweak left and right very quickly. I feel like this is just a gun for the days when you haven't had much sleep and the days where you've got a lot going on in your life, and the big heavy gun is just a little bit too much effort to shoot. This is the gun for that. Probably also better at handling game, but that's tomorrow.
You don't seem to be able to miss with the controllers.
Probably because I'm not holding onto the forend, and so I can't drive particularly. But I can't seem to miss holding the controls. That's what this gun is for. Controller holder shooting. On a serious note, it really helped just to go and have a little break. Sometimes you do just need to take a break because my head was still stuck in super sport mode and I was still trying to shoot it in that super positive manner. Coming back out here and just taking it a little bit easier with targets, spending a bit more time with them and just not slowing my gun movements down, but just working the gun. It is pretty undefeatable, actually. Thank you for watching, guys. This channel is made possible by our amazing sponsors. You can find out more about them in the description down below. And if you want to support the channel, you can join as a member. You get loads of extra content, well, some extra content, and occasionally we hook up and go clay shooting together as a membership group. If you don't feel like joining today, we really appreciate you watching and subscribing. Have a wonderful day.